Hey folks, Mr. Parsons here coming at you with another book talk. Today we're going to be talking about this book right now, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. If you recognize the name John Green, you're not alone. He's probably the most famous or one of the most famous young adult authors on the planet right now. Two of his books, Paper Towns and The Fault in Our Stars, were major bestsellers. They were New York Times bestsellers. They were also made into Hollywood films that were very successful. So he is one of the foremost young adult authors of his generation. Why is he so popular with young adults? Well, he has great characters. He writes about teenagers in a way that feels realistic, that he kind of understands the complicated nature of teenagers. He has this really amazing style of writing. His characters are very witty and sarcastic. So if you like character-driven fiction, then this is probably the type of book that you would absolutely love. Now, John Green took 5 years between writing The Fault in Our Stars and Turtles All the Way Down. And one of the reasons it took him so long to write this book is because he was struggling with his mental health during this time. John Green has obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a mental health challenge that he faces. He also has anxiety about different aspects of his life. So those two things were kind of impeding his progress with writing. And that's relevant to know for this story because the main character, Aza, a 16-year-old girl from Indianapolis, she too suffers from OCD and from anxiety, and it's an interesting part of her story. Now, a little bit about the story of this book. At its heart, Turtles All the Way Down is a detective novel. So Aza and her friends, they live in Indianapolis, and one day they're driving around on the streets, and they hear on the radio that a billionaire local businessman who was about to be arrested for fraud has gone missing, and the whole town is after him. They want to locate him. There's a $100,000 reward being offered, and Aza had previously been friends with his son, so it's kind of their link to the story. So the story is essentially their search for this businessman and how that goes. Green said he was inspired by the detective novels that he read when he was a kid. He felt there were some similarities with the detectives in the story, in that they seemed very obsessive compulsive about the facts of the case and solving the mystery. But he felt like those tendencies helped the detectives in the stories he read, whereas in his experience, OCD and mental health had been an impediment to his work. And so he wanted to create a detective story about a character who experiences some ups and downs while in that detective kind of mode. So, very interesting premise for a story. I want to read you a short passage from it now so you get a sense of John Green's writing style. Daisy and I were scanning stations in search of a song by a particular brilliant and underappreciated boy band when we landed upon a news story. Indianapolis-based Pickett Engineering, a construction firm employing more than 10,000 people worldwide today. I moved my hand towards the scan button, but Daisy pushed it away. This is what I was telling you about, she said as the radio continued. $100,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of company CEO Russell Pickett. Pickett, who disappeared the night before a police raid on his home related to a fraud and bribery investigation, was last seen at his Riverside compound on September the 8th. Anyone with information regarding his whereabouts is encouraged to call the Indianapolis Police Department. $100,000, Daisy said, and you know his kid. Knew, I said. For 2 summers after fifth and sixth grades, Davis and I had gone to SAD camp together, which is what we'd called Camp Sparrow, this place down in Brown County for kids with dead parents. Aside from hanging out together at SAD camp, Davis and I would also sometimes see each other during the school year because he lived just down the river from me, but on the opposite bank. Mom and I lived on the side that sometimes flooded. The Picketts lived on the side with the stone-gabled walls that forced the rising water in our direction. Powerful story. I got this book from a John Green speech he gave in St. Paul, so I actually saw him talk about this book. He raved about it. I'm raving about it. 10 out of 10. Get yourself a copy.